myself, I need to maintain just a little bit of neutrality here in the next subject that we're going to go to for the following reasons. Because I don't want what I'm about to say to be misconstrued as me going after any group of individuals, okay, or organization. It's not going to be it at all. Now, we're going to speak to the individuals that have committed, really laid their lives on the line to go to Bundy Ranch. I was, when I went there, prepared to lay my life on the line to defend our God-given principles. I made that decision on my own. When each individual makes that decision on their own and they go to Bundy Ranch, you need to know that, you can't just say, well, I'm there to hold up a sign, but when the poop hits the fan, I'm going to go run and hide. That presents a security issue for me, because I'm prepared to stand and fight and defend even your God-given rights. But if we have a situation where, when the going gets tough, all of a sudden, next thing you know, we got rumors of drone strikes and then communication barriers break down. We then, at that point, have a security risk. We have a situation where a group of individuals may be scared away by the potential for conflict, or even just taking unconfirmed rumors and reacting on that outside of the command structure. That presents a security issue. So I'm going to refer to this next topic as it concerns me, is that it was a potential security risk that was dealt with immediately, because on the ground, the militia, the family, they're all doing absolutely the right things constitutionally, lawfully, communicating appropriately, providing security for the residents there at Bundy Ranch as well as the local community. If there's a security risk, it must be dealt with, and it is being dealt with. So, Ryan Payne, I'm going to go to you. The only neutrality that I want to maintain is that this isn't about some membership collecting organization. In fact, we want to speak to those individuals to know what their role is in this restoration of our Constitution. This is a very, very serious thing. And when things get serious about drone strikes and stuff, we want to make sure that the people that are going to the Bundy Ranch, if they encounter such a rumor, whether it be confirmed, true, possible, it doesn't even matter. We need to be committed to staying in the trenches for the security of all, and the security of our country, for that matter. But Ryan, tell us what's going on right now and what you've done to rectify some communications issues out there.
The drone strike itself, I want to clarify what our opinion is, I guess, our analysis of the situation, and that there's a very slim to no chance of the federal government calling in a drone strike on innocent civilians who have committed no crime. Now, of course, they're trying to paint the image that they're committing a crime, and thus the whole rounding up the cattle thing to begin with. But this doesn't justify bringing in combat arms, unmanned aerial vehicles with Hellfire missiles to blow them up, or to blow us up.
Sir, can I mention one thing? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Okay, myself, I have a Fourth Amendment, right, that guarantees me due process. I'm being declared a domestic terrorist outside of the judicial process that would establish, what I've done to actually be considered a domestic terrorist. Now, we're being called terrorist, and like Awlaki he was droned in Yemen, I think. There was no trial.
Well, so what you're getting at is something pertaining to the recent National Defense Authorization Act, and them labeling us. This is why we have a posture here, and why threats like that, no matter how little the odds are that they might do them, we do have to take them at least serious enough to err on the side of caution, because we have a political figure, the head of the Senate, who is the same party as the executive that controls all of this military force that we're talking about.
That's right.
That have labeled us domestic terrorists. And according to the National Defense Authorization Act, we can be indefinitely detained without due process. So we do have to take those things seriously. And just as in the case of Awlaki, as you mentioned, they did blow him up with a drone without due process, and he was an American citizen. So,
right.
Yeah, do we have to take that seriously? Absolutely. Do I think that it's probable? No, I do not. So when this report came across, that there was a potential for a drone strike in it, and the leak was supposedly coming from within DOJ. We began very quickly the process of vetting that information and that source. Now, there was a reaction that happened before we had a chance to get to that vetting process that was made by the founder of Oathkeepers, Stewart Rhodes. And the organization itself and the membership and people that support that organization have been very kind in donating their time, financial aid, and logistical support to this effort. I'm going to be crafting a official release from the coalition here on the ground that will be approved and probably posted tonight or tomorrow morning, that will go into greater detail on some other aspects of their involvement in this operation. But I'm going to stick to the drone thing first. What he did was come into the base camp here and initiate a callback of every position back to the base camp, which brought all of the Oathkeepers personnel back to him, and told them about the drone strike and pulled them out of this AO. So he circumvented the chain of command that's been set up here on the ground, which is voluntary, obviously, as all militia activity is. But if you volunteer to fall under that command structure, then you're also volunteering not to obey orders from an outside entity. And when that outside entity, Mr. Rhodes, inserted his authority, and they followed those orders, they have committed against the men here what most would consider desertion on the field of battle with threat of fire, right? The potential for a drone strike.
That's right.
So this violates the soldierly creed for myself, having served in a Ranger unit as an assistant team leader on a long-range surveillance team. That violates my creed, which is the Ranger creed. Right. For Marines, it violates their creed. Every combat MOS has that same creed. You do not leave a man behind.
You don't.
You do not desert in the face of the enemy. You don't embarrass your country. And this was an embarrassment. Now, I want to clarify that this was a singular act by a man and a bunch of people who followed him, mm-hmm. whether they knew the situation completely or not. Mm-hmm. This does not reflect my opinion of the individuals that have signed on to the Oathkeepers mission statement altogether, because I believe it is a righteous movement. It is necessary to mm-hmm. educate people and to show unity, that we stand behind those constitutional principles, and that we intend to uphold the oath that we all took to protect and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. But I must say, and this was cemented by the coalition vote here twice now, that those individuals, Mr. Rhodes included, are not to be a part of this operation and are not to enter this AO. And this is not only in light of, and obviously they can enter the public lands and all that stuff. It's freedom here, right? But not to be involved with this operation or in the militia camps or at the ranch. This is also in light of other things that were going on the ground, all of which allude to a little bit more nefarious purpose on the part of the Oathkeepers leadership. And you just couple this with that, and we've got a very, very bad taste in our mouth for that whole deal.
No, but I'm sorry to interrupt. All of our obligations are first and foremost to the U.S. Constitution. Desertion in with respect to the militia operation puts lives in danger. I'm going to ask you this question. This is important because I heard, and we're not talking about rumors here. We're talking about actual circumstances. This isn't towards any of the individuals, Oathkeepers, who have sworn an oath to defend and support the Constitution at all. But the leadership structure, I understand that Stewart Rhodes and those that were actually calling for desertion of certain troops there when the drone strike was coming about, that they've been asked to resign from Oathkeepers. Have you been able to confirm that?
No, I haven't necessarily been following that. Okay. It wouldn't surprise me if that was the case, though.
Yeah, and I bring that point up because it's really important to identify that if Stewart Rhodes himself or those individuals that were following his orders in putting lives in jeopardy if they've been asked to go. And I understand that they have been. That essentially.
No, I sat out here. I sat out and had a very lengthy conversation one very early morning with Mr. Rhodes as we pulled guard duty together here at the checkpoint of the Bundy Ranch. And, whether that was a publicity stunt or I did my duty, I have to take into account that he was here. He did put his life in danger by being here and being labeled a domestic terrorist and all that. So I'm going to give him that. But in that conversation, in that conversation, I didn't necessarily find anything nefarious in the man's deed. He seemed to be upright and like he was headed in the right direction. I did put him up to a few things, which were, to put his money where his mouth was as far as support, and he did do that, and allocate Oathkeepers resources to the effort, and also to make a call for the militia, to support the call for militia to come here. He went a little bit sideways on that and instead called for the Oathkeepers specifically to come here, which builds into one of those other situations that I was talking about that happened here on the ground. But there was no reason to believe that he would do this intentionally.
So let's conclude here. We have just a couple minutes left. I want to make sure that we very clearly establish that for the purposes of security, of making sure that we maintain, unity in the command structure, that things have been swiftly rectified. Everything is back to where it needs to be, and that those safety concerns have been addressed. Correct?
Yes, the coalition structure and the Republican government process of the militia out here, it worked very quickly to eliminate the misdeeds and just giving the victims.
Awesome. Ryan, thanks for the update. We'll be in contact with you, and we'll look forward to that formal release there from from on the ground here either today or tomorrow, and we'll be sure to communicate that to our listening audience. So awesome. Keep up the great work, sir. Thanks for the update, and we'll be in touch with you.
Thank you, sir. It's always a pleasure. Sua Sponte.
Yes, Semper Fi. That's right. Okay, you guys, we'll be back with Mr. Reverend Edward Payne. Wait till you hear his story. Jeez. Oh.